Hi, Byron Moore here with Mike Jones, and we're coming to you again. Today as we're taping, it's about 7 days since the United States had what everybody knew was one of the most interesting and certainly controversial presidential elections in a long time. And so while the final post-court battles results are not in, it does look as if Mr. Biden has won, and there will be a change in the administration. So naturally, we've gotten a lot of questions, certainly before the election, and not a few questions about how we see things unfolding after this election. And we've gotten some of those, haven't we, Mike?
Yes, and quite a few, actually.
Yeah, quite a few. So we're going to start off with an interesting chart that Mike found from an economic journalist that we both read on a regular basis. And it's a really interesting chart. You wouldn't know it from looking at it. I'm going to point something out about the chart in just a minute, but you'll see it's one of these beautiful things that starts from the lower left and goes to the upper right until this happens. And I bet you know what this is. You know, you don't see any writing on this, but this spells coronavirus, doesn't it? It's the economic downturn that we saw once the coronavirus hit. In the early part of the month of February is sort of when the pandemic was declared in the United States. And we had this severe economic downturn. This is not a chart of the stock market. This is actually a chart of economic activity, but over what period of time? Because there is no timeline here at the bottom, and that's on purpose. This is actually a 10-year chart, right, Mike?
2010 through 2020.
And there's actually a point here where there was a Democrat in office as president, and there were Republicans and there were Democrats serving in the House of Representatives and the Senate. And then there was a change when all that turned over and there was a Republican. And if I asked someone to come in without knowing exactly what the years were and point out when did the Democrat leave and the Republican would begin, you wouldn't be able to do it very easily because the line doesn't change much, which teaches us what lesson that we're trying to make today.
Our theme for today is that markets are bigger than politics.
Exactly.
And so this does show just from this one chart that, yes, it's very hard to determine a change of regime politically in the economic system of the United States.
Right. So what we thought we'd do next, let's broaden that. Let's look at not one or two presidential administrations, but a number of them put together. So we came up with this chart. And Mike, why don't you walk us through this chart?
Yeah, so that was a 10-year chart we were just looking at. So this one goes all the way back to 1926. Okay. And it shows the performance of the stock market from 1926, or really the performance of a dollar in the stock market from 1926 through the end of 2019. So it doesn't have 2020 in there. We all know what's happened in 2020, but the red parts of this chart represent a time when a Republican was the president. Okay. The blue represents a time when a Democrat was president. And what you will see is, yes, with the ups and downs, but how by and large there have been positive returns for investors in the stock market through both Democratic and Republican leadership in the presidency.
Yeah. So one of the lessons from this is it's not so much Democrat, it's not so much Republican, it's time.
Yeah.
It's giving the market time to perform, which again, our theme is that markets are really more important than politics, more important than who is president. So let's go to the next slide. And Mike, we've got kind of three things that are described here. Why don't you tell us what these three are and what the significance of them are?
So what they do is it looks at, tell me first of all, what kind of president do I have? And then what type of Congress do I have? I think I would like to just skip to this end instead of going through all the data that's here for us, because what the end of this chart shows is when there is a time when there's a split government, when in the past there's been a time when there's a split government and you had a Democratic president, then that the annualized return of the stock market was 13.1%. Okay. Now, that's not a statement as to what we believe will happen in the next few years, but it is a statement that markets like stability, and that if you will tell us what the rules are, we can use those rules to go out and apply capital to make it work efficiently. And so with a split potentially in Congress and a Democratic leadership, what the markets were telling us last week was that we like this. We like this because we don't think that there will be any significant policy change.
Part of our message with saying that markets are more influential or more important than politics is that one of the things all the talking heads on television and podcasts and all over the place would seem to indicate is that it's who's in office that determines which way the economy is going to go. We would actually say it's probably opposite of that. It's the way the economy is going determines who either gets to stay in office or who is going to replace the person or the people that are in office. So again, our message is that markets are really bigger and more important than the politics. Not to say politics don't matter, markets just influence and matter probably more. So let's go on to the next slide. And what happened here just a few days ago, Mike?
We woke up Monday morning, the week after the election, and I came into work. I turned on my computer and I saw the Dow was up 1,200 points. And what happened? And actually, it was a very favorable announcement from Pfizer on where they are in their phase 3 study to state that their vaccine is 90% effective in their COVID case study, and they would have been happy with 60 or 70% at this stage. And so this meant, wow, there could come a day in our future where the world can open back up again.
So not only was the Pfizer trial effective 90% of the patients that are in the trial, but also it was fairly effective on impacting the market.
Yeah.
And so this was what the market looked like from the opening till about 15 minutes after the open. It just shot straight up on the optimism. And again, we're only a day or two out from that. We don't know whether that kind of optimism will continue. We just know that's one of the things the market's been waiting for, kind of the all clear to say that things are going to move back toward getting to normal. A final thought or two. Before the election, Mike and I had a number of different phone calls from clients and non-clients, friends, and well-intentioned individuals asking us, to predict the future as if we knew ahead of time who was going to be elected president. We didn't. And if the election turned out not the way that these folks wanted, there was a fear that the markets would then turn in a way that would be negative for them. And so they asked, should I go to cash or should I do something different with my money? And our message to them was pretty consistent, which was what, Mike?
That we should stick with the plan that we put in place and with the investment objectives that you have set forth to get you where you need to go.
Right. So as always, if you don't have a confidence that the plan that you've got is comprehensive, that it covers everything that you want it to cover, then we need to talk. Please call us. We would love to have you either on a virtual call or a telephone call, or if you're comfortable coming into the office, we're certainly seeing clients and friends in the office right now. So give us a call. We'd be glad to talk with you because, again, nothing has changed as far as the right action to take in the midst of these times. We really believe that the best is yet to come. Who knows what 2021 is going to hold for us? We don't know any more than we knew in 2020, but we do believe that we live during a great time when there are great opportunities in markets for those that choose to appropriately participate in them. And we'd love to help you in any way if we can. So feel free to call us, feel free to email, ask questions. It's a privilege to serve you. Mike and I both love our jobs, and we're really, really happy to be able to serve you. So until next time, Mike Jones and Byron Moore at Argent Advisors, thank you.